Hey everyone, Harry here. The procession of defendants to be arraigned in Fulton County has begun, starting with John Eastman, who was so involved in the false electors scheme and was on the ellipse January 6th. He presented himself and surrendered Tuesday morning with a whole kind of political tirade about how terrible the case is and the like. Scott Hall, also a minor player, relatively, a bail bondsman who was involved in the Coffee County voting machine fraud. Trump himself and Ken Cheseboro are slated to surrender on Thursday. Okay, first point that this brings home to me, everyone is really being processed like criminal defendants. To date, Trump has enjoyed certain advantages. Even whether he would get a mugshot taken has been a matter of negotiation. In Fulton County, they're just treating them like any other defendant. Here's a underreported detail. Some of them were advised, if you want to have a short wait, because showing up to be booked in Fulton County can take some time, I guess, a little like going to the emergency room or whatever. They advise to show up at about 3 a.m. So obviously they're, part of the kind of assembly line of justice. Chesebro and Eastman get bond set at $100,000 and Trump at $200,000. Now, some people have said, oh, what's $200,000 drop in the bucket for Trump? But I think it is meaningful because in all the other cases, he has been released on what's called an OR bond, his own recognizance, essentially. The court saying, we trust you to show up. And sometimes his lawyers arguing, Judge, come on. He is one of the most recognizable faces on the planet. How's he going to flee? And judges essentially buying that. Not in Georgia. $200,000 has to be posted. And most importantly, I would say, in terms of like any other defendant, well, in this case, Trump is being treated not like any other of the 19 defendants. Rather, his order, his bail order, which was negotiated out with his lawyers, has a special long provision that he has to agree to about not intimidating witnesses. There's a little bit of sort of legal conventional language for Chesebro and Eastman as well, but nothing like for Trump. So he has to, as part of his condition of release, as part of not being in jail, he needs to perform no act to intimidate any person known to him. He can't be in touch with any co-defendant except through lawyers. He may not make any direct or indirect threat against the community. So that's a very broad thing, including posts on social media or reposts, kind of a Trump technique, right? Somebody posts, Donald Trump Jr. maybe, and he reposts. No, you can't do that. And then this general provision that says you cannot otherwise obstruct the administration of justice. So the first thing to say about that is they know who they're talking about, and they made a qualitative judgment. Trump has to be constrained more than others. But of course, the second point is how or will it work? I think everybody in the system is acutely aware of a couple things. One, that Trump is going to try to push on things. And two, that actually putting him, the ultimate remedy of taking away the conditions of release and putting him in jail is kind of a disaster. It gives him the ability to be a martyr, and it's such a patent interference with the political process. This is like no case, I think, in history, an intertwining of politics and law. And it may well be that that's what Trump is counting on. It may well be that his psyche, which I try never to think about, much less analyze, or his, political strategists have said, go at it, still keep jawboning because it's a win-win for you. Either you wind up, getting martyrdom points, or you are able to say these things to turn people against the prosecution. Even last night, Monday night, before showing up, when this order had already been negotiated, Trump was totally pillaring the prosecutor, Fani Willis. Now, he's saying, oh, they're taking away my First Amendment rights. That's wrong under the law. He doesn't have normal First Amendment rights, which would usually say you can criticize and do a lot of things as long as you're not inciting imminent harm. Not in his case, and for two reasons. First, he is a criminal defendant, and that means he is under the authority of a judge whose job it is to see that the case gets tried with a fair, unpolluted jury pool, and especially that no court personnel or witnesses are threatened. That's something that trumps, as it were, his First Amendment rights to an extent. And also, he has signed this thing. He's signed away some of his rights. He's saying, I won't intimidate persons. That would be, in a just, First Amendment analysis, kind of a murky term, but not here. And it will be up to the judge. So big point one I wanted to emphasize is how he's just, being treated like any other defendant. And we're seeing that. And there's something really vivid about it. The majority of the country has come to believe he did something wrong. That doesn't necessarily mean they've turned against him. It's a very kind of fraught dynamic. But the more that the criminal justice system is seen with him being just one other defendant in it, I think the more that kind of comes home, and maybe, the image of felon president, comes to the fore and peels off some of his support. So that's one. And then two, the table is indeed set for Judge McAfee in Fulton County, and somewhat for Judge Chutkan in January 6th, which we're not talking about now, to really hammer him if he continues to use inflammatory rhetoric. But that doesn't mean it will happen. It's really, in a way, the last thing judges want to do. But they're left, if he dares them and dares them and dares them again, they get to a point, several points down, hearings down the line, where they say, Mr. Trump, I'm out of options here. You do this again, I am taking away your conditions of release and putting you in jail. And then he does it again. Now their credibility and the strength of the criminal justice system are on the line, and it's a terrible situation for the country. But like so much, one that's basically all of Donald Trump's making. So we have the very what would be a kind of non-event of showing up and for not even for an arraignment here. This is in lieu of an arraignment. It's just to be booked. That would really be nothing. It's something you never see, but because it's Trump and plus 18, it's really got this sort of built-in drama. And this week we're seeing the, added oomph and vividness of Trump, coming face to face with the criminal justice system on video. So stay tuned for Thursday, and especially stay tuned for indications of whether Trump will continue to try to be a jerk off, I think might be the legal term. His lawyer has assured the court that he'll comply, and so his lawyer's a little on the line. It's a big potential mess, but who loves making big potential messes any more than Donald Trump? So we'll stay tuned to see what happens Thursday and after, when the former president of the United States surrenders to face justice in Fulton County. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.